This video is going to change everything. What if I told you that we have been listening to The Weeknd's final trilogy of albums all wrong? Because in this video, I'm about to introduce a theory to you, a theory that I came up with, and that after watching it, you will never experience that trilogy the same way. Theory flips everything that we thought that we knew about this trilogy on its head. And once you hear this, I believe truly you won't be able to unsee it. This is not a story about life and death. This is about the power of one choice. The way that Abel set this up, like every detail is meticulous. He's pure genius. It's crafted with intention. There's no coincidences. It's so methodical that it actually feels like he wants us to uncover this truth, but not too soon and definitely not too late. But maybe with the movie when it comes out in May. This idea, theory, everything, it hit me like a fucking train. It hit me like the Hogwarts Express. And I was like, oh shit, like what am I gonna do? I need to get this out. So, 32-page Reddit post. And instead of the multiple messages I had already sent and then continued to send to my boy Ernest, shout out Third Ernest. Hey, I was like, I just need to record this. It's time. So I distilled the message. I appreciate you being here. Welcome to my channel for the first time ever. It is me saying welcome to this channel. And, like, comment, subscribe. You don't have to be a lifelong fan of The Weeknd. I encourage you to watch this until the end. Not just for watch time, seriously, even though it helps, but because I think that the art that this man has made with the depths of his fucking soul, which he admits he still has. Shout out to all of you that thought he sold his soul, idiots. This is the artist of our generation. This is the nostalgia we're gonna have in the future when we look back on these. You don't need to understand everything about him to recognize a genius when you see it. Me giving you this little blueprint of a theory with so many supporting points and ties that it's kind of ridiculous to think of this theory as completely baseless. That's a good thing. That doesn't mean it's completely true. But if I'm able to get us to think differently of his discography, about the way that he is telling his story, the way that he has chosen to say goodbye, I'm going to encourage all of you to stick around and pay attention because it gives us another reason to listen to the music with a different perspective. The value in just knowing, hey, there was like a lot of intention, this love and passion for the #1 artist on the Spotify charts in the world again, beating Taylor Swift again. It sometimes alternates, but it's typically with him, even if he hasn't dropped anything. And Homeboy doesn't even do interviews. Last time we had an interview for about an album, it was like 2016 for Starboy. Not really someone that goes out there. He's not really doing his stuff publicly. That guy is the #1 artist in the world. He's choosing to end his career. I mean, to be fair, all we do is compare him to Michael Jackson. The way he's doing this is legendary. And I intend to preserve that legacy by sharing a theory. And you're here. Okay. So shout out EXO. I'm going to do a little EXO head count. Where we at? Shout out EXO. Shout out to the boy who broke neck on tour, and it's all of them now.
Shout out EXO. Shout out to the boy broke bread on tour, man, it's all of them now.
Say some good in the streets.
Shout my nigga Six doing good in these streets, Betty Pop.
My nails, like I'm missing 2, but that's fine. I want you to know I know. Let's get into it because we got it wrong. We got the concept of this final trilogy of After Hours, Zone FM, and then Hurry Up Tomorrow wrong. We've been under the impression 5+ years, the same conceptual theory flows, even though throughout the rollouts of the albums, not everything has made sense. And I'm going to talk about that today. After Hours is where he dies. Dawn FM, he's in purgatory. It picks up exactly where After Hours left off. Death. I'm being woken up by Carrie in this radio station type of theme. It's like a broadcast. And we were under the impression that is a purgatory. Whatever he ended up choosing at the end of Phantom Regrets by Jim, it's essentially that God figure talking to The Weeknd and saying, hey, heaven's for those who let go of regret, but you have to wait here when you're not all there yet. And wait, Consider the flowers. They don't try to look right. Wait. Consider. This is in real time. This is just who I am. Just making. They should open their petals and. Yeah. Oh my god! I just got chills. Oh, guys, Consider the flowers. They don't try to look right. They just open their petals and turn to the light. That is a quote from Dawn FM's Phantom Regrets by Jim, that Jim says. I'm saying, like, that part didn't stand out to me until just now, because Abel in Hurry Up Tomorrow, he doesn't talk about artificial lights, like blinding lights of Las Vegas, of the paparazzi, of the stage lights. He doesn't talk about that. He actually only refers to as light from God, light from within, and sunshine, natural light. So him, Jim, at the end being like, consider the flowers. They don't try to look right. They open their petals and turn to the light. I listen to music intentionally. I listen to music to analyze it. But this time I was listening to music to understand it. And I was listening, Hurry Up Tomorrow. I thought that After Hours, Jonathan, and Hurry Up Tomorrow were all a story. Like, the same story. Nope. What if I told you that Abel's real life, red pill, blue pill, a decision between staying trapped in the cycle of fame, regret, of loneliness, and self-destruction, and hurting everyone around you, or actually breaking free and turning towards that light. Once I break this down for you, I don't think you're going to hear these albums the same way. So I encourage you to buckle up for this drive. I've been sitting on this for just way too long, and I refuse to let y'all keep thinking that he died, because that's just not the case, and I want to get into it. So this all started a few days ago, like 4 days ago. I was listening to Big Sleep on and something about Big Sleep was bothering me. Not because it was a bad song. No, it's incredible. I was trying to listen to understand songs in this album, and the first 60 seconds of A Big Sleep made no sense to me. It wasn't transitioning from the song prior, and it was not transitioning into Big Sleep. In fact, Big Sleep, the song, doesn't start until over a minute later. That's when I thought, okay, well, how, if everything's so intentional, why is this the only thing that feels out of place? Because he has transitions throughout the whole album. There was no transition. It was also on brand. There was like an eerie buildup. There was a voice distortion. It sounded like initiation.
So fall into you, thick smoke, choke it. Baby, get familiar with the order. Just crack it, then pour it, then sip slow, then sip low. My eyes red, but my criminal with that XO. She climbing straight to the top, forgetting what she did on the first
voice. And it felt like something was happening before the song started. But I was like, what? Now is when I thought, okay, if this is technically a movie soundtrack, why don't I try listening to it from that perspective now? So I did. And then I asked myself, if this was in the movie that comes out in May, where would it fit? And then it hit me like a train, hit me like that Hogwarts Express, hit me like a Ford Anglia, baby. This is the moment he dies.
your borrowed life, and you wasted your borrowed time. Big sleep.
But the way that this album plays out after Big Sleep is unlike anything we have ever heard from The Weeknd, because the last 7 tracks of the album, Big Sleep is the 7th to last track of Hurry Up Tomorrow. After I realized he died, everything made sense, because from then on out, it was really, really clear that he's not in purgatory. In fact, it made me go back to Until I Bleed Out. I had to try to figure out what the hell was missing. It's where we all thought that he died the first time, and suddenly I realized he wasn't dying in that song. He was trying to kill the Weeknd persona. After Hours, his heartbroken, vulnerable, just raw, doesn't even want to get high anymore. It's not about Bella, him wanting to cut out Bella from his life. It's not him doing anything other than having Abel sing to The Weeknd. I want to cut you out of my life. I want to cut you out of my dreams until I'm bleeding out. The song ultimately ends with it trailing off, and it like, till I'm bleeding. You know, I should just played it. Fuck it. When I shift perspective of Until I Bleed Out into, this is not about love or anything. This is actually about himself, and cutting becomes a really big theme the rest of the trilogy. It makes me feel like this is not a linear story, because if he didn't die in After Hours, he wasn't in purgatory. How could you be in purgatory if you ain't dead? Which then brought me into the realization that this is that red pill, blue pill moment at the end of Until I Bleed Out. I need to kill The Weeknd off of me until I bleed out. And that is, he realized he had the 2 choices. The one where he can stay trapped, he can keep living as The Weeknd, get lost in the regret, the fame, the indulgence. Eventually, because time still goes on, he will be old and he will be miserable. He's stuck in Dawn FM. That's why he's old as fuck in the cover. That's why in the beginning of the Gasoline music, he begins the music video with the Dawn FM track, because it's like the radio jingle. But that's why he's old, wearing hearing aids. When he crashed, and then like there was like that frequency pitch, and then he's a hearing aid, and then he's fighting himself. We were all like, oh, what? That's because that is the him that is still living, still in this world, has been on that loop, on the cycle. And that radio station, it still repeats itself over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And that's easier to listen to than having to look back on your own regrets. So he is stuck in Dawn FM. He's driving towards the sun, but yet the sun never comes up, does it? A little further, I realize that this choice has been foreshadowed for years, 8 years. My Dear Melancholy is not a random heartbreak project. It's actually the prologue to the trilogy. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about My Dear Melancholy. When this dropped, we thought it was just about Selena Gomez. They dated. A sad little breakup album. It was an LP, actually. It was 6 tracks. And the themes of The Weeknd that were dark, we used to aspects of The Weeknd that were aware of their toxicity. And we were also introduced to like a vulnerable Weeknd. With what makes a grown man want to cry, what makes him want to take his life. Transition happens in that song, like and it's all because of you. And he's talking to us, really. Call out my name. This is actually the most in your face The Weeknd has ever been, and we didn't really realize that. He literally starts the album, the prologue, with "I almost cut a piece of myself for your life." And then later on saying, "So call out my name, I'll be on my way." We thought he offered a kidney to Selena because Selena has lupus, kidney transplant, this whole thing. That doesn't mean he didn't, but saying that with the themes that we hear throughout the rest of his discography in the last 3 albums, cutting is a theme that is very prevalent. And we just went over Until I Bleed Out, which has the lyrics, the core lyrics of the chorus. Oh, chorus. Want to cut you out of my life until I'm bleeding out? This is, I almost cut a piece of myself for your life. My name, I'll be on my way. When you accept Abel, I will be there. He's telling us he's ready to leave. He's down to bounce. If we go deeper, go to Privilege. Go to the 6th track of the album, the final track of the LP. And in my opinion, the best song on that LP.
So let's just try to end it with a smile. And I don't...
Oh no, Call Out My Name is up there. Call Out My Name is one of the most famous songs of his, and yet I think it has a totally different meaning than I think we've always thought. But in Privilege,
Blues away. Wait. I got 2 red pills. Take the blues away.
and I take 2 red pills, take the blues away. And we were at the time like, oh, that's cool. We love a little reference to The Matrix. Oh my God. Cute. Oh my God, we get it. Girl. No. He's about to enter this red pill, blue pill. Hello? Like red pill, blue pill? The beginning of like a lot. If you take the blue pill, you stay as The Weeknd. He's able to be as numb as he wants, which we know is something that he lives for because he does not enjoy feeling and he doesn't enjoy facing life and pain. Staying in the loop, the red pill, he has to wake up. He faces the reality of what he's done and who he now has to be, and he escapes. So what does he do at the end of My Dear Melancholy? He chooses to stay as The Weeknd because, I think that just makes sense cohesively from a concept standpoint, but it is what brings him to the events of After Hours. And that's where the spiral gets worse. For years, people have thought Dawn FM was the transition album between his life as The Weeknd and whatever afterlife there is. It was like a waiting room, right? So if that was true, why the fuck is he old as shit? Why did he randomly get old? All of us had that same thought. Don't you dare not tell me that the moment that you saw this album cover, that you didn't think, why is he so old? Oh man, but he's so genius. He's so genius. He had it right in front of us. And we moved forward with it. We said, it's The Weeknd. So if there's no dying in After Hours after all, then what the fuck is happening in Dawn FM? Well, he's gotten older. He stayed The Weeknd in After Hours. That's what happens if he chooses the blue pill. He will wake up and realize his whole life has flashed by. He's just an old man on a cycle, on a repeat, on a loop, a has-been who was already at his peak years, like in 2020, 2021. And he doesn't let go of that life. No matter how much he ages, he just cycles through it, just like a radio station.
Don't you dare touch that dial, because like the song says, you are out of time. You're almost there, but don't panic. There's still more music to come before you're completely engulfed in the blissful embrace of that little light you see in the distance. Soon you'll be healed, forgiven, and refreshed, free from all trauma, pain, guilt, and shame. You may even forget your own name. But before you dwell in that house forever, here's 30 minutes of easy listening on 103.5 Dawn FM.
And and he's on his way to the Dawn, but it's Dawn FM. Dawn FM's a loop. You're not going to the Dawn. The Dawn will not rise. Not Blue Pill. That's why in the cover, right here, you now can look in the right-hand side and look at his shoulder. You can see that there's some faint light, but that's it. Like, they're almost there, but you're actually just not really moving. Dawn FM is not purgatory. It's the life he would have had if he didn't change after hours. Alone, miserable, old. All he does is look back on the regrets of his life. Definitely regretting not choosing the other pill, but constantly just trying to go towards that light. But that light, sweetie, it's not coming. You're still in the loop. And then when you do die, you will still be in a purgatory. You have made a mortal and eternal purgatory for yourself by living in such sin and such avoidance. Jim Carrey? He's not God. And he's also not just like the average radio host. Duh. Creepy ass. He's actually the music industry. If you think about it. He kind of represents the music industry because the radio station, it's fame. It's the machine, it's the system. It's also where music started to originate. Like, you would hear the first new tracks on the radio and everything was on the radio. The smooth talking host, that's part of the illusion to keep Abel in this cycle, right? And if you think about it, the entire album just feels like a broadcast, which duh, but every angel is terrifying.
He is the terror we endure. While we stand in wonder, we are annihilated. Every angel is terrifying. Intense, graphic, sexy, euphoric, provocative, edgy, thought-provoking, technically and visually stunning. A compelling work of science fiction. A suspenseful expose. Cinema like you've never seen it before. The exotic, bizarre, and beautiful world of Afterlife. And this is your invitation to enter. Critics say Afterlife makes your current life look like a total comatose snooze fest. It's action-packed. The future of everyone's fate. Nigel and Frank call it classic. Arthur Flemminger says,
I can't keep my eyes off the screen.
Afterlife can be yours for only $4.95 with a subscription when you order the best of your current life collection series. You will enter a world beyond your imagination and an experience you will never forget. Don't say we didn't warn you. The wait is over. Call 1-800-414-4444. That's 1-800-444-4444 now to order Afterlife. $4.95 plus. Now. To order Afterlife plus $3.79 shipping and handling. Now.
The way that he speaks about angels in Dawn FM is completely a stark contrast to how he speaks about angels in any other album. In Beauty Behind the Madness, he ends the album with a song, Angels. A song, honestly, underrated. But then in Hurry Up Tomorrow, he's talking about angels and seeing an angel and all beautiful things. So every angel is terrifying. Being the creepy ass fucking commercial it is, and just trying to give that message further solidifies that this is not reality and that this darkness
You are now listening to 103.5 Dawn FM. You've been in the dark for way too long. It's time to walk into the light and accept your fate with open arms. Scared? Don't worry. We'll be there to hold your hand and guide you through this painless transition. But what's the rush? Just relax and enjoy another hour of commercial-free music on 103.5 Dawn FM. Stay tuned.
You fall for me once you got this deal. The city dark, city dangerous again. Here we go again.
Like, you've been in the dark for way too long. It's time to step into the light. Like, it's just a false promise. You're not stepping towards the light, and you're being told you're in the dark, so you're never gonna be like, oh man, actually, there's a light switch? Shit. So, Dawn FM is the blue pill. It's not an afterlife, it's a trap. It's a blue pill. And what happens if he then takes the red pill? That's when we get Hurry Up Tomorrow. The moment that Big Sleep ends is when everything actually changes. Like I said, these are the last 7 tracks of his entire career, of his entire discography, and he's ending it. The moment that Big Sleep ends is when everything actually changes. Like I said, these are the last 7 tracks of his entire career, of his entire discography, and he's ending it with these last 7 tracks. The track that begins with his death, the song Big Sleep, ends with him citing the Lord's Prayer. This is also the guy who killed himself in the beginning of the Starboy music video. Killed his old beauty behind the mantel, proceeded to then demolish an entire house with a large neon pink cross.
Switch on my side, like take any lane. Switch on my core if I kill any pain. Look what you done. I'm a motherfucking star boy. Look what you done.
Really saying fuck you to himself and to religion. He's not someone who is shy from telling us how he feels about religion. Song Faith, where he also almost died, where we thought he did because he overdosed. I lost my faith. I'm losing my religion every day. After that, he goes into Drive, where instead of running, he chooses life. And not just life, but the best life. He, for the very first time in his discography, says he's happy.
I don't wanna waste your time. Just wanna feel the air on my body. And I roll the window down. Don't ever think I'll be this happy.
But in Drive, that's the first time we've ever heard him choosing to want to feel something. And not in the vein of, I don't even want to get high no more. No. I just want to feel the air on my body. I just want to feel the sun on my skin. This is the guy who said, take my breath. And now he's saying that he wants to feel the air and he wants to feel the sun. He doesn't want those artificial lights that come with the Vegas. The abyss is not as depressing as you think it is. It's not. Well, the song title, at least. And then Red Terror. Red Terror is when he finally faces his past. He writes this whole song dedicating it to his mother from his mother's point of view, but all the sacrifices that she had to make in order for him to have a life where now he gets to be like this, where now he is this huge star. But to her, he was always loved and taken care of. This is where we, for the very first time, and what seems to be an anthology of loneliness, we find out that The Weeknd realizes he's not alone because he actually has his mom. She says, you'll never be alone. So he apologizes. And then at the very end of Red Terror, is when we, the fans, get a response. Not a response, but we get a farewell. The farewell that mirrors the plea that he presented to us in the Thursday mixtape back before he was, huge and famous and whatnot. He asked us to please stay with him. He's just a Rolling Stone. Like, he's going to change. He knows he's going to change, but please don't leave him. And we didn't. And then at the end of Red Terror, the end of his discography versus the beginning, when he was on SoundCloud, he tells us that even though the weekend is ending, that the old life we had together, that we had so fondly together, it will remain untouched, unchanged. Everything, it never will be different. We can always have that as ourselves. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. And it's not about a woman. It's about us, the fans. So this was not the end of a trilogy. It was the end of the weekend. He said goodbye to us and thanked us for sticking around. And is also asking us to stick around. Because Without a Warning, he goes into that more, but from Without a Warning into Hurry Up Tomorrow, he wakes up. He's ready. He knows that he's also not alone because he has God who's watching over him at all times. And that he hopes that the way that he ends all of this is to wash me with your fire. Fire. In Donna FM, fire represents depression, misery. Wash me with your fire. Who else has to pay for my sins? My love is fabricated. It's too late to save it. Now I'm ready for the end. So burn me with your light. I have no more fights left to win. Tie me up to face it. I can't run away. And I'll accept that it's the end. And I hope that I find what I'm looking for. And I hope someone's watching from up above. I'm done with the lies. I'm done with the loss. I hope my confession is enough.
Tie me up to face it. I can't run away, and I'll accept that it's the end. And I hope that I find what I'm looking for. I hope someone's watching from up above. I'm done with the lies, I'm done with the loss. I hope my confession is enough. So I see